Chapter 10, Balancing My Life Out. Throughout this book, I've outlined some really stupid shit that I have done in my life. Some of you may have done worse, and some of you may learn from my experiences and not repeat the stupidity. I didn't get this far in life by being foolish and stupid all the fucking time. I've written about taking responsibility and taking control of my finances. I've also mentioned that I've educated myself all the way up to completing my graduate program in 2019. So let us discuss education just for a minute. When I taught computer repair and web design between 2010 and 2013 for the Los Angeles County School District, I emphasized the importance of education. I have to stress that education doesn't have to come in the form of going to a formal university system. Most university programs offered today are garbage degrees designed to fleece you of your money and waste of your time. However, if you insist on going through the university system, I highly recommend getting educated in the traditional curriculum and avoiding the humanities subjects for the most part. If you do choose the humanities route, I choose looking into English, philosophy, and history. I'd suggest pursuing the sciences such as biology, chemistry, math, engineering, and computer subjects, for example. That's just my biased opinion. Traditional universities aren't the end-all of education. There are other options. Technical and trade schools are a resource, and at many of them, you can earn degrees like a traditional university. However, the curriculum focuses on the trades: welding, gunsmithing, electronics, computer science. You get the point. Most tech schools have the curriculum completely laid out for you. The benefit is that all you have to do is show up and complete the requirements. I will say that these programs are intense. You'll be carrying 15 to 18 units per semester if attending full time. Finally, there's the military. I know what you're thinking. The military? I don't want to be in combat. Here's the thing the recruiters won't tell you. For every combatant on the front lines, there's a network of 40 to 75 support personnel. What does this mean? Well, for every infantryman, tanker, pilot, and artillery personnel, there are personnel such as engineers, lawyers, doctors, nurses, medics, and mechanics, as well as specialists in logistics, transportation, mechanics, computers, communications, and post-hole digging. Yeah, you got it, PhDs. The key is to study for and score high on the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, or ASVAB test. In my personal experience with the Army, I scored high enough on the ASVAB test to become a pilot. However, it was my own fear that kept me from being a pilot and realizing a lifelong dream. I didn't realize my potential at the age of 17 after going to the Military Entrance Processing Station, or otherwise known as MEPS. So I opted to be a helicopter mechanic. I remember the recruiter questioning my decision to opt out of flight school. Despite all the stupid choices I made, this is one of my regrets. I don't have many, but not going to flight school stings, as I described in an earlier chapter. This regret was all me. I try not to dwell on it too much, human nature being what it is. I do think that maybe my trajectory could have been different, and I could have avoided those DUIs early in life. My insecurities and low self-esteem changed the course of my life. I didn't believe in myself enough to take the risk, a very low risk at that. My military experience wasn't negative in any way. Becoming a mechanic delayed my entry to flight school, but I considered it a bonus. I learned the inner workings of the machine I wanted to fly. Well, the rest is history. We know what happened afterward. Plan B, I took advantage of the GI Bill and pursued a career in technology. I earned an Associate's of Applied Science in Electronics and a Bachelor of Science in Management at a technical school, which opened a pathway to computers and cybersecurity. As a result, I also earned computer certifications from industry giants such as GIAC, Microsoft, Cisco, and CompTIA, and eventually a Master's of Science in Cybersecurity. Despite myself, I've been living a comfortable life. The point is, it doesn't matter where you get your education from. Shit, it could be on the job training. What matters is that after high school, we all need a form of secondary education that is practical and useful. Lord knows no one learns anything in the public school system anymore. Integrity and honesty. Fast forward a few years, I began my consulting business in 2002. I was self-employed. The learning curve was steep, but I managed my own business. The only people I had to answer to were my customers. I was confident in my skill set and business was growing daily, attracting new customers via word of mouth. I was self-supporting through my own contributions. I had 2 cars and at the time was renting a 2-bedroom apartment in Costa Mesa, California. Life was good. I received a call from one of my customers I hadn't heard from in a while. I rarely heard from customers unless something was broken, meaning they had computer issues. At the time, most of my smaller customers didn't keep a maintenance plan, so most of my visits and customer base were break fix. I arrived on site and the administrative assistant, Julie, my direct contact, mentioned that she couldn't retrieve some files from the server. Without getting technical and into the weeds, I began troubleshooting the issue. Again, without getting into all the technical issues while troubleshooting, I inadvertently deleted $27 million worth of financial records this firm was managing. Holy shit. WTF. How the fuck did I do that? I was panic stricken. I had to think fast. I accidentally deleted the hard drive from the computer system. Newbie mistake 101. Not a problem. I'll rebuild the drive and recover from backup until I realized that no one was changing the tapes and the information hadn't been backed up in months. Shit. Thinking on my feet, I realized that it was late on a Friday afternoon, so I calmly approached Julia and said the problem wasn't a quick fix and for her to close up shop and go home. I was going to be a while. After Julie left, I continued shitting myself and freaking the fuck out. What the fuck was I gonna do? Again, panic-stricken and thinking fast, I reached out for help. By that time in my career, I had a few friends and business partners that I could call on at a moment's notice, one of which was a data recovery expert, Ray. Now, at this point in my career, I had some experience and I understood that in order to recover data, the number one rule was do not attempt to write over the disks. I shut the machine down, removed the drives, and rushed them over to Ray. I explained what had happened, and the first question he asked was, "Did you attempt to write over the disks?" Quickly, I responded, "Nope." "Good, then it should be a clean recovery," he said. In those days, everything was slow, well relative to today's technology. 48 grueling hours of waiting over the weekend, wondering if the data would or even could be recovered. I should have bricked the size of Catalina Island the entire weekend. Most importantly, I was trying to figure out what to say to the client, not Julie, the owner, Scott. If I couldn't get this problem fixed by Monday morning, I was royally fucked. Or to quote Turkish from the movie Snatch, proper fucked. The potential for a lawsuit and every worst case scenario ran through my head. Then it happened. I got the call from Ray on Sunday night, August 13th, 2006. I got your data. I could finally breathe. Relief washed over me like water in a wet t-shirt contest, and some of the pressure was off. I picked up the data and the original drives, rushed over to the office, and began rebuilding the redundant array of independent disks. I imported the data and verified the client computers had access to and could retrieve the data over the network. All was good, except how was I going to save myself? First thing Monday morning, I walked into Scott's office. I detailed everything that had transpired from Friday to late Sunday night, including the fact that I fucked up and had inadvertently deleted the data. I also validated with him that all the assets he was managing were intact, including the file that was missing that spawned the original call. Finally, I didn't charge a dime. The data recovery and the labor fees were all waived. No charge, nothing, zip, zero. I took responsibility and paid Ray for his time and materials. It wasn't cheap. Most hard lessons aren't. And I did not bother to recover those expenses from Scott. What lesson ever is cheap? The school of hard knocks is a brutal educator. Why did I waive the expenses? Why not lie about the whole thing and invent some story? No one would know, right? I would know. And it would take my ass years to forgive myself for that type of deception. I couldn't sell out my integrity. Integrity is everything. Without it, you have nothing. I could have made up some technical mumbo jumbo and called it a day, but I couldn't do it. I'd fucked up and owned up to it. I took responsibility and did everything I could to make reparations. I lost Scott and his business that day, and I don't blame him. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I am human, after all. I use omission as a way of deception, which is a form of lying. Not saying that deception is something to be proud of. However, this is a defensive mechanism developed at a young age, and I'm still working on it. I've just had too many instances where people, some who claim to have loved me, took the words that came out of my mouth, manipulated them, and used my own words against me. Much like the assholes that will take this book out of context and use it against me, I say fuck them. I sleep well.